Hey, everybody. Welcome tonight. It's another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds podcast. This is the podcast where we represent both sides, liberal, conservative, try to come together, try to find common battleground. And for some strange reason, we decided we would wear the other side's colors. So Ryan's wearing red tonight to it helps us get in the psychological mode. Josh is doing something weird. He's gone pink on us, and so
That's
it's sort
red.
of an
That's red.
LGBTQT shout out, but yet still
We're finding
conservative.
common ground. I'm wearing red. He's wearing rainbow colors. Like, look, we found common
Go.
ground.
That would be the day.
It is red. And hey, we won't get into it. We've got too much other stuff to talk about. Moving on.
Ryan represents our liberal side. Josh represents the conservative side, and we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about we're going to revisiting Doge, some predictions that Ryan made. We're also going to be talking about American exceptionalism, which is sort of a reboot or a revisit of some of the cultural things we talked about a couple podcasts ago. Some rapid fire questions, things like that. So it's going to be a fun show. But we'll probably jump right in right after we talk about clean bottoms from Flux Bidet.
Lux Bidet. I just read a really remarkable, it's not about Lux, it's about Toto, Japanese company. They're
Mm,
making massive inroads into the US in their bidets. Apparently, people are finally realizing, and I don't know if you guys have seen their original commercial in Japan. Have you seen their original commercial?
Mm-mm.
It's youngish woman standing in front of a bunch of Toto toilets. She takes paint. She's got her hand up and she puts the paint on her hand. And then she says, all in Japanese, she's like, "Do you think you can wipe this off with just a piece of paper?" And she
mhm.
smears it
It's the truth.
all over her hand. And she's like, "Do you think you can do the same thing with your bottom?
Right,
That's why you need a bidet." And I was like,
right.
and people
It's the
complained
truth.
about it. They were so upset about that commercial. And I'm like, but it's so true. It's just
Well,
true.
right.
Yeah. But that's before Toto really had taken off. I didn't realize that I actually learned a lot about bidets in that article. Um, Bidets actually originated, I don't know if they originated in the US, but Toto, the company, got their idea from medical devices in the US that they were using as bidets. And then they obviously made it really nice. And now Toto bidets they're warmed, the water is warm, the seats
Hmm.
are warm, they're like super advanced. This is not meant to be a commercial for Toto. This is actually a commercial for Lux, but it was an
Total got
interesting
their
article.
idea from everyday common sense, right? Like cleaning something with water. Right?
Makes sense to
Oh,
me.
good thinking, Total. Where did
Yes.
you come up with that idea?
Anyway, get yourself a Lux bidet. You should. Your
I,
butt deserves it.
I want to spend most of our episode talking about bidets and cleaning your butt, actually. Um,
Yeah.
in our little promo where I said, talk about happy, fun, poopy time, I
Yes.
actually stole that from Futurama. The Fry in Futurama, he has a Japanese smart toilet. And he's throwing it out, and the toilet's like, "Oh, I give you happy fun poopy time." And he looks at it and goes, you know too much," and he throws it in the dumpster.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You have too
the
much in you.
Japanese, man, that's where I got it from. The Japanese.
Yeah.
Happy
But
fun poopy
buy
time.
a Lux bidet. It's good
Get
stuff.
it? Totally worth it. All right. First topic, Tom. What do we got?
Well, let's go into your prediction first, Ryan. So Ryan made a prediction, what, two podcasts ago about Doge. We went in talking about Doge, and but yeah, so we're gonna revisit this, and
Yeah. I'll try and put a link when I post this on the various places where we do. But it was actually right after the election. So this was several podcasts ago. Right after the election, we were talking about Trump setting up Doge and that he wanted to bring in a couple of people, in particular Elon Musk. And all the way back then, I got it a little bit wrong, but of course things have changed just recently. I said I didn't think there was any way that Elon Musk was going to join the Trump administration because his ego is just as big as Donald Trump's. And we're recording this on June 3rd, just in the past week. What happened to Elon Musk?
leaving Doge.
He is leaving Doge. He is leaving the Trump administration entirely. He's going back to his companies. He's out. I think it is complicated. It's not just egos. I think there's a lot of things going on, but I don't think those egos were ever going to last together. Two big, massive narcissists in the same room. it was never going to function. I think the only reason that Trump tolerated him is because he has so much money, and Trump actually doesn't, right? But I was kind of right. I didn't get it exactly right, but I had said, like, I don't think those two can ever really work together long term. And I don't know if you've seen, since he left, Elon Musk is going at Trump left and right, throwing a lot of shade his way. Anyway,
Mm.
did I
Well,
get it partly right?
he didn't go after Trump. He went after the big beautiful bill more than he's going after Trump.
Yeah, he doesn't like the bill.
Yeah, but who coined the big beautiful bill? That's Trump, right? And this is what Trump wants. So
Sure, but
Um,
I disagree with Ryan, but it doesn't mean I'm throwing shade at Ryan, right? There's a distinction there. And Trump even said, and I want to get back to your prediction, but I think Trump even said, like, I think Elon will be coming back. I have a feeling he'll be coming back. So I don't think it's conclusive that they've like completely broken down the relationship. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen that or any evidence of that. I don't like the bill. We can talk about that too, but Elon can hate the bill and still be friends with Trump. I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
yeah. Tom, thoughts?
yeah, Ryan, you're right. He left. He's left, and he left prematurely. So like, I'll give like more earlier than he said. He was going to be temporary, right? But he's leaving earlier than he had said. I think he was going to stay on for I can't remember, eight
Yeah.
months, 10 months, something like that. But so he is leaving early. So you did call that. And like you said, I think it's a number of factor thing, a
Yeah.
number of factors, right? I think that like blowback on Tesla, right? And Tesla shareholders upset that he's not, giving them enough love, things like that. But yeah, I mean, but what like, I mean, I don't even know, right? Like all the
Um,
factors,
did
but
you did either of you see the story in the New York Times about his drug use and all of the stuff that he's been doing with his family and kids and affairs?
Elon
Elon's
Musk.
drug use?
You guys aren't aware of this?
Well,
He's
like,
using ketamine on a daily basis now.
yeah, I knew he was. Yeah, yeah. I'd heard that a while ago that he was on something. I couldn't remember what it
Yeah.
was, but
So ketamine, right? I mean, it's there is an off-label use for it. It's used in surgeries to put people to sleep, basically, right? But
yes,
there's an off-label use that can actually help with depression. And he admitted, like a year ago in an interview with Don Lemon, that he used it, but he said he used it strictly under doctor's orders, and it was like
yes,
every couple of weeks.
right,
New York Times said no, it's actually now daily. He's using ketamine daily. He's got all sorts of other drugs that he's been using. He's become quite erratic. There are all sorts of issues going on. And then, I mean, I don't think the kids thing is actually as big of a deal as the drug use, but he has had three kids with Grimes and then two kids with a like person at Neuralink, right, that he
yeah,
was having
yeah,
this affair with that he hid
director,
from Grimes and then told her, then said he broke it off, but he's now had two more kids with her. And
yeah,
he's got another kid at least with a writer in New York City, a conservative female writer, that he also hid from Grimes and hid from the other person. So he's
yeah.
got like all of these things. And the one, what's her name? Something St. Clair. Um, when she got pregnant, he's like, "Look, can you believe?" I was kind of shocked by this. He said, "I will give you $100,000 a month if you keep the paternity private, like you don't disclose it, for the life of this kid."
Sounds like she's not getting the money.
She said no. She's like, "Nope, I'm telling everybody who the dad is."
Right.
So they've gotten into a whole bunch of battles over this, and
None of
now,
that's new. Like,
yeah.
are we doing a hit piece on
Yeah.
Elon?
Well,
On
Like, what are
Musk.
we
No, no,
doing
no.
tonight?
No, no.
no.
I'm not trying to do it. I'm saying, why did he leave, right? So I'm
Because
actually
Trump's
saying it's
spending too
not
much
just
money. It's
uh,
pretty obvious.
well, I
And
don't think it's just egos. I think Elon has too much stuff
no,
going on, including his drug use, his family life, the six companies that
that
he's
is
trying to
such a
run,
dirty
all sorts of
shot.
stuff. What?
Wow.
Well,
Like, that's pure speculation on your part. Like, oh, he's leaving because he's a meth head. Like, come on.
I don't.
Let's look at the facts. He disagrees with the spending. I agree with that. Like,
Okay.
big beautiful bill. Like, the Republicans are spending way too much money. Elon just he put himself out there. Like, it kills me that you're killing Elon here. He put himself out there wasn't paid for it, is trying to fix the economy because we all agree we're gonna be bankrupt soon.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Don't need to rehash
He
it.
took a huge hit. I think his net worth went down by $100 billion because of this. We can't even fathom that amount of money that he lost because he was trying to be altruistic and fix the freaking economy. Um, People were firebombing his company and his cars, right? And I mean, these are the facts. And now it looks like he doesn't agree with the spending, so he's stepping away. Those are the facts. So for you to immediately just jump into he's got a drug issue and he's a philanderer, that's the real problem. And the ego's like,
I didn't.
that's pure speculation, bro. Come on.
Well, no,
be
none of that is speculation of the things that he's doing.
no, but it's speculation that that's why
Tying
he's
it to
leaving.
that's why he's leaving. I said it's complicated. I don't think it's just ego. So I was trying to say, here's why it's complicated, right? It's complicated because he disagrees with the spending. They are big egos. His companies have been taking hits. He's lost a lot of money and he's got a drug issue and he's philandering, right? So I was just throwing it in as like trying to complicate it. I'm not trying to just go at Elon. I'm saying there's a lot going on. I don't think it's just ego. So I was actually trying to moderate how right I was in my prediction by saying there's actually other stuff going on.
Okay, so I want to point out two things there. Your prediction wasn't that on because the two egos coexisted. And the other thing, and I think this is the most important thing, Ryan texted Tom and I that he wanted to talk about this, and Tom was like, you made that prediction? And within seconds, Ryan had pulled up the old video and had it time stamped. And such a freaking nerd. Who does this? That's what I want to talk about tonight. Is how where did you just come from, Ryan? Why don't you tell everybody where you just came from?
I was role playing Star Trek with a group of other nerds, and I wear this badge proudly, Josh. Absolutely.
What was
You tried to shame me over my nerdiness?
Ryan,
no,
did you?
I'm
jealous.
Win? That's what I thought. Well,
Did
you don't
you win,
win in
Ryan?
Star Trek. Hello, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. You solve problems. You build teams. You explore the galaxy.
Did you win?
There's no winning, Tom. You don't win. You roll. There are dice. You succeed at tasks, but
I'm sorry.
You don't even level up in Star Trek because you start with all the skills. It's completely different, and it's actually loads of fun. We have a great time. So,
all right, I think I made my point. Ryan's an ultimate nerd, but I got a sidetracked. Go ahead,
and
Tom,
Josh admitted that he's just jealous. So it's all good.
That sounds like fun to me too. But Tom, you were saying
next
something.
topic.
I cut you off.
Oh, well, yeah. My thoughts. This is interesting because all I do is I see these articles that are even like a few months ago, it was like Elon and Trump are not getting along and and it was like the media was like trying to generate a thing, right? They were trying to make a story, and it like didn't materialize at all, right? And it was just like, okay, we'll try this, and I feel like they're always trying to, and like Elon Musk is erratic and has too much stuff going on. Like he's the master of. He's been having too much stuff going on for like 3 decades, right? Like he's
made a lot of money
4 or 5
too much
companies
stuff going on.
And they're not small companies, right? These are like some of the biggest companies in the world. And like, so I don't like, I had heard he was, I mean, maybe it was on the Don Lemon interview that I'd heard that he was on something, right? And then, so, and it didn't surprise me, right? That he was doing something because like, it's his schedule is insane. As far as the kids, I don't know. He's been having kids with lots of people for years, right? And it's
nothing new there.
I mean, if I was the richest man in the world,
you'd be doing the same thing. I don't think you would. Tom. You would not be doing the same thing.
Who knows? But
if Tom had that kind of money, I would have kids with Tom.
Right. Totally. No. Oh, but like
you would be the surrogate. Josh would be the surrogate.
There was a great meme. It was
for $100,000 a month or whatever. I probably would.
You would have my child. Yeah. I would make it happen. There was this great meme of and when you made me think of this, Ryan, because I don't know who the person was, but Musk was at the inauguration, and he's standing next to this really cute girl, and there was like a partition in between them, but like she was over on this side, and they were talking, or well, they were like interacting, and then at some point he has a water bottle handed to him, and he hands it to her, and she's like, "Oh, thank you," and then it's like, and the caption was something like, mother number 5, 10 of Elon Musk, right?
10,
Like this
yeah.
is about to happen in 10 seconds, right? Or something like that. And you're like, probably will, right? You're like,
Yeah,
he's probably gonna get her
possible.
pregnant at some point. So hey, little DC intern, you're next to the richest man in the world. You want to make $100,000 a month? A little easy, $100,000 a
Awful.
month. I mean, because that's the funny thing. That's the girl who didn't agree to his money. How many women have agreed to the money, right? Anyway,
Unknown. Unknown.
uh, whatever.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, I like the hit pieces are so strange, right? It's like Elon Musk is losing so much money. Everybody was losing so much money. The stock market was going down. Like everybody was. It was like the weirdest thing. Elon Musk is and like Tesla's always been dramatic. Like ever since the inauguration, the stock doubled. It doubled. And then
Really?
it halved back down again. And
Yeah.
like so it's just like it's always been an extreme stock. So it's like I don't know. Like I always see the Cybertrucks are piling up, the inventory's piling up. Guess what else is piling up? Every other dealership right now. Like car sales aren't doing well, but it's always like he's such a failure, right? And I'm
Yep.
just like, well, whatever, guys. It's so biased like these hit pieces. I don't know. It gets obnoxious after a while. Anyway,
Couldn't agree more. That's my problem with it. Like, I view Elon as a very altruistic guy. I think he's trying to help. That's why he has SpaceX. He's trying to colonize Mars so we don't have all our eggs in one basket, right? Like,
Well,
uh,
he does want to go. It's not like he's just doing this to be altruistic. He wants to go to Mars.
sure, but like he didn't have to do Doge. Like he didn't get paid for it. It's not everybody was like Tom was saying. They're like, oh, he's trying to get his companies in there. He lost $100 billion on
Well, that doesn't
Tesla.
mean he didn't also get his companies in there. We talked about this,
It
so we don't have to
kind of,
rehash that. He
I
did.
well,
do, I
show me
don't.
where he did.
I'm confident he didn't get rich off the
Oh,
like Doge scheming, right? I mean, I
No,
would
I don't think
assume
he
you would
did. He was
agree,
already
Ryan, but
rich.
like, do
Yeah,
you
he was already
think,
rich, but yes, his company's got some additional contracts.
and you think as a direct result of Doge involvement?
I mean, it's hard to argue. He was right there. He literally is in the Oval Office on a almost daily basis.
I don't know. I'd like to see
what?
something that was like,
Because I
because
saw a
like,
headline where he suggested using Starlink for
yeah,
some I don't remember what it was, and they were like, no, that the government, like Trump's administration, was like, that's probably not a good look. We probably shouldn't do that, and it
Oh,
made sense
please.
because
Not a
Starlink's
good
great.
look.
But and we can talk
This
about
is,
that because the Trump
yeah.
administration has some bad looks right now.
Oh my
I'll
gosh.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But again, I just don't see where there's any substantial grounds to be bashing Elon. Like, yeah, he's a weird dude. We've always known that. But I think he's trying to help, and he's trying to do the thing that we all agree needs to happen is clean up the government, and he's
right.
just getting crap for it. Like, and as
Well,
Tom said, every piece out there is a hit piece on the guy, assuming the worst motives possible, where the facts don't line up for that. He's lost so much money doing this. Okay, that's a weird take.
right, right. Well, and we've said that we've hammered this before, but I like I've seen articles like, oh, okay, the spending bill is actually going to increase, so Doge isn't really doing anything, so it's all moot. And like it was, and I'm like, well, what's your plan, right? Your plan
Yeah,
was spend like a crazy drunk sailor and with no recourse at all, like no plan
yeah,
at all, to even
good
try to
point.
attempt. And so it was like criticize all of Doge's efforts, and then if the result isn't great, we criticize some more. And you're like, what was your plan? You had zero plan, and yet you're like, this is so stupid. And you're like, okay, you're like, we're trying, like we're like
Yeah,
trying to do this. I'm like, I'm all for it. I hope it works, right? I am skeptical, right? But I do have some hope. I would love to see it. I'd love to see it work. It actually has to work, or we're screwed. But
yep.
like I don't know. It's just a weird thing, right? It's like everyone's rooting against this, and I'm like, this is our only chance of surviving as a country. Like, and like we're like,
That,
ah, it'll never work. You're like, well, what do
that's
you
why I'm
want to
so
do?
annoyed. He's trying. He put
Yes.
himself out there, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Nope, I don't believe it, and it's not going to
Yeah.
work." And he's terrible because he's associated with Trump.
I don't get
Okay,
it.
good job, guys.
Uh,
You killed our last best hope. Good job. Like you guys won.
He's not Luke Skywalker.
uh-huh. We're only hope.
Uh, he
He's not
kind of
the only
is.
hope.
What?
What's
It's not
Okay,
the only hope.
okay, Democrat brother. What's the next help for fixing the spending in this country? Because I don't think
Tom
it's
Triplet.
Trump.
Tom Triplet. We
Oh,
already talked about this. We'd put Tom
what?
Triplet in and take care of business. Anyway, let's move on. That was a really minor issue. We made a lot of hay out of me just saying, "Hey, I told you Elon wasn't going to
Yes.
last." Moving on. Tom, American exceptionalism? Yes? Or
Yeah.
Josh's rapid fires?
Yeah.
Hmm. Let's
What do
do
you want to
American
do,
exceptionalism.
Josh? Let's do your rapid fires because they should be quick.
yep. But and they keep
Famous
coming
last
up.
words.
Stuff pops into the news, and I want to do a podcast and talk to you guys, and then we don't, and then it's
And
like
then it's
old
like
news.
old news. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we talk about it, we're like those people that want to talk about Goodwill Hunting 15 years after it comes out, right?
Right.
Um. So the Biden cancer thing, right? Apparently,
Oh,
Biden has
yeah.
terminal cancer, and
Yep.
Right.
this is so interesting because it was just like a blip in the headlines. Oh yeah, this guy that could have been president, he has terminal cancer. And then the liberals were like, "Yep, moving on." And obviously they knew about it. Obviously people at the upper echelons knew about it when Biden was president because this is not a cancer that just like
You can't.
pops up and
Oh,
it's terminal. Okay, Ryan,
you
who's
just
going to get
said
better
you
medical
just said
screening?
facts versus not facts, and now you're
Okay,
like, I'm totally going to make up facts, right? Like, come on.
let me
That's
just ask
very
you.
hypocritical of you.
No. Who
Tom is
gets
laughing because he knows I'm absolutely right.
No, he's laughing at you because you're so incensed protecting Biden. And
I could
this
care
is all I
less
want to
about it.
this
No,
is all I
it
want to
made
bring up.
national headlines for like 3 days, and yeah, it's an old guy
Okay,
who's got prostate cancer who's
you
going to die.
honestly
Okay.
believe that he just barely found out about it.
No, I think you're probably right. But you can't say we know that, just like I can't say that
Right.
Elon Musk
Okay.
ketamine use is what's kicking him out of the
Okay.
government.
We
Do you
don't
see what
know
I'm
that,
saying? We don't
but
know it.
all signs point to that because who gets better medical screening than the president of the United States? Okay. The type of cancer that he has, there's a certain kind of screening for it. And we know Obama got screened for it. We know Trump got screened for it. Like they talked about the results. Trump always was talking about, I went to the medical center or whatever that place is called where the president goes, and I'm super healthy. I'm the most healthy man ever
Yeah.
alive, right? We know presidents get this, like they announce it. And suddenly Biden, who's older than
Okay, but just admit that it's
Methuselah.
speculation. Just say that it's speculation. You're
Okay,
speculating that we
it's
knew this.
speculation,
Thank you.
but it's not.
That's all you have to say. It's just
Yeah.
speculation. We don't know
Sure,
that.
sure it is. We're just going to assume this old guy who's the president didn't get a routine screening that every other president ever gets. Okay, fine.
I agree, Josh. Highly probable that they knew it before.
It's possible. I'm not
So they
ruling it
knew.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me just throw this out there. It's probable that the administration knew that he had terminal cancer and they lied to everyone. They lied to Democrat voters. They lied to everyone and said, well, if he has a chance to get elected, let's get him elected and then he'll die and we'll just put in Kamala or whoever. And that was just like a blip. And I don't want to argue about it. We don't need to discuss it at length. It just struck me as kind of insane that this was perpetrated, if that's actually what happened, and it sure looks like that's what happened, that they were going to put a dead man walking in as the most important man in the world, the most influential man in the world, and lie to everybody because he was about to die. And we're like, oh, well, that's just politics as usual. And we just like, okay, we're cool with it. No, that doesn't
What do we
bother
do?
anybody else.
What do we
All
do?
I'm asking, that doesn't bother you that everybody
Yeah.
was lied to.
Okay. One, we don't know that they were lied to. So
We do.
please admit that it was
But okay.
speculation, right?
It wasn't, but
Two,
okay.
let's say that they were. Right? Let's say that everybody was lied to.
That's
Okay.
all I'm asking.
Let's
Doesn't
say
bother
that.
you.
So hypothetically, everybody's lied to. Biden didn't win, right?
Right.
So what does it matter now? If Biden had won and they knew, then basically they're setting up Kamala to be the next president, right?
Right.
Which is what they ended up trying to do anyway. So
Right.
how would it have changed anything?
Well, here, but what? So first up, what is your take, right? Where do you think this lies? I'm
In
curious.
terms of like they knew for sure, or
Yeah. Do you think they were scheming? Do you think they
I mean, we
It's
know that
like,
they were scheming. We know that they knew he was not doing well, right?
right.
The things that I have heard come out that are less speculative at this point is his team, when he was still running, were debating whether they could actually put him in a wheelchair or not before the
Right.
election or
Yeah,
after.
I'd heard that.
So
Yeah.
that I actually heard that it's like they knew this is how bad he was physically. No one
Well,
has said definitively that he had cancer and they knew that and they were covering it up. I just haven't
yeah.
seen that, right?
I mean, it would be safe to say if he had like a cancer diagnosis, that would be like that would end
Oh,
his
he would have been done.
right.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think
Yeah.
we'd all
So
agree.
if they had known and then covered that up definitively, like, yeah, that's bad juju. Like that's not good. That's really, really bad. People should not be doing that. I haven't seen any definitive evidence that they knew that and they covered it up. They knew his health was declining. That we've seen definitive evidence for.
Yes.
They knew that he may not have been able to walk by the time he was actually inaugurated. Like that's how bad his decline was. They knew that,
Mm,
and that has come out as definitive. So
hmm.
I'm totally willing to admit, like, they knew it was bad, and there's more and
Right.
more evidence
Right.
coming out.
Right.
100%, because I've
Yeah.
seen clear evidence for that. I just haven't seen it for the cancer. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not saying they didn't know. I'm just saying I haven't seen the smoking gun that's like, oh yeah, he was diagnosed in what, May
Yeah.
a year ago and they just covered it up. I just haven't seen it, right? If you find it, Josh, okay, I'll eat crow. I'm totally fine with that.
Well,
Until then, it's just
they
speculation.
probably won't release it until he's dead. But I mean,
Maybe.
the definitive stuff is it's
You
still
mean
the same
tomorrow?
idea, maybe. But the
Um,
definitive stuff that you've seen proof of, it's still the same question. Like they knew he wasn't going to last the full term, but they were lying to everybody saying he's in
Yes.
great health.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm
It
not going to
doesn't
deny that.
like,
yeah.
especially Democrats. Democrats aren't bothered that they were lied to.
No, and Josh, here's my take. I want to see what you think about this, Ryan. But like, because I kind of what you're saying, Josh. I think this is what I think is we already know that Biden was only, I think he only signed once, like and the rest of the time it was the auto pen, right?
Yeah,
Which opens up a lot of question of like who was
who's doing
actually
this?
doing this, right? These executive orders and pushing these things, and like, was he actually, how lucid was he in the decision making? And that like basically it was being run by a bureaucracy, right? Like, and his cronies. And I think it was like because here's the thing, we already knew he was on the decline, right? With his like Alzheimer's and everything, like he was slipping, right? So like I don't even think the cancer. I think the cancer was just like one thing on top of it, right? I th- I think it was really like no, let's get him in there and we'll. It's not, nothing's gonna change. We're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing, right? So
Yeah,
like that's
probably.
my opinion of like we're already running everything.
It
So
was
like
already weekend at Bernie's.
totally. That's
I think
like
that's fair.
that was
And
already the case,
but
in
Yeah.
my
but
opinion.
they were lying about it, and we know the auto pen was used. We still don't really know who was doing it. I've heard that it was Jill. I've heard it was Hunter. I've heard it was Elizabeth Warren. Like I've heard all of these rumors. Like this was the person doing it, but we don't really
Right.
know.
None of
But
those
we
would be
know.
I
true.
don't
It would
think
be
it
his
was
chief
any
of
public figure at
staff.
all.
No, it would be his chief of staff. It would not be
Right.
Jill Biden or
Maybe
Hunter Biden or no,
Well,
that Ryan.
none of
That's
those people.
speculation. You don't know this
You're
speculation.
right, except Hunter Biden was basically in court for the last, what, year and a half of the Biden presidency. So unless he had the auto pen with him in court and was signing everything
Hey,
there,
when you're
come
that
on.
high on coke, you got a lot of energy. You can get stuff done.
ketamine and
Uh,
coke.
yeah.
What
All right. I
do
was
you
just
agree with that,
curious.
Ryan? Would you like this idea?
Of what?
My theory that basically it was just more of
It
this
was
like he
weekend at
was
Bernie's.
already kind of
Yeah.
out to lunch weekend at Bernie's as Josh says, and then it was just
Yeah.
more of the same.
Uh, Again, like I didn't realize how bad it was until that first debate.
Yeah.
And that was very intentional on their part, right? They were
Right.
trying to hide it. So
Yes.
I'm totally owning that they tried to hide how bad his decline was. They kept him like really boxed up. It's like this, precious porcelain doll.
But
And then you couldn't once he got into the debate. And at that point, everybody on the left was like, holy shit, this is over, right? He's done.
Right.
Everybody
Right.
knew as soon as the debate happened, like it was over. There's no way we can
but
put him up against
the
Trump.
crazy thing is, if you want to go and find timestamps of our conversations from before that, the right already knew. the left was covered. The left media, the legacy media, was covering for him. Everybody on the right already knew. We've been talking about it for several years.
Kind
We
of,
already
yeah.
knew how bad he was.
But we also did the exact same thing. The left media, right, that you love to point out is the left media. They were talking about Trump's decline all the way during his first administration, right?
Mhm.
And they do this whenever a president is not the one that they like. So left media was attacking Trump as being incoherent, saying stupid things, not being, clear. They did that during his entire first administration. They did that with George Bush Sr. They've done that with all sorts of presidents when they're older. So that's not news, right? So you're saying, oh, the right
Except
knew it. And I'm like,
Trump is exactly the same, saying the same crazy stuff. Biden had a very obvious decline. So one of those two media apparatchiks was clearly lying. I think that's the right word, isn't it?
it is a good word. It just comes from the Soviet era. So I know what you're getting at, but
I
yes.
don't.
Apparatchik is a propaganda arm of the Soviet government.
That was the name of
Thought
it.
I
Yeah,
thought I
the
used that
apparatchik.
correctly.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes,
I was just curious. I was merely curious if it bothered either of you, because it was a blip in the news, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh,
Well, what am I going to do about it, Josh?
95." I'm just asking if it bothered you. Pretty good chance. We probably all agree. Pretty good chance that he had terminal cancer, and
Yeah.
everybody was lied. Everybody was lied to, and he's the most important man on the earth. Wow, that's the state of affairs. That just, it sickens me that's what we're doing. You're right. Yeah, maybe it doesn't change anything at all.
Doesn't change anything.
It's just weird to me that
Well,
the
I think
left
Josh's
wasn't
point is
more.
like this is the type of people we're dealing with, though.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
just
how is that different
gross.
from what's going on right now? As if they're not lying through their teeth and corrupt as hell. I mean, we've said this a million times. The left and the right, once they get into power, all they care about is holding power and maintaining power, and they'll do anything to
Yes.
do that, right?
Agreed.
Like that's
Agreed.
absolutely true for both sides. So
Yes.
the left had power. They had somebody who had beaten Donald Trump in the past. They wanted to keep him in because they thought he could do it again, and
Yes.
they covered it up.
They would do it at all costs.
Yeah, they would
Yeah.
do it at all costs.
Yes.
So I'm totally owning that. It doesn't make
Yeah.
me feel good about it. I'm not like, oh, I love this. This is a happy, wonderful day, and like flowers are coming out of my ass because of this, right? Like it's terrible. But how is this
If you
different
have
from
flowers
Tuesday?
coming out of your butt, you better go get screened for that same cancer, because
Or get a Lux Bidet.
or get a bidet. Nice tie-in. Well done.
Actually, the flowers come out after you use your Lux Bidet.
Okay, I just wanted your opinions. I didn't even need to turn it into a thing.
Next question, Josh.
My next question: this Ukrainian drone strike that took out a bunch of Russia's
Wasn't that
bombers.
awesome? That was awesome.
Yeah.
The first headline I saw of it, it was a picture of the drones flying in a formation shaped like a penis, and I'm like, did that really happen?
I doubt they actually
I'm
did
pretty
that.
sure that didn't happen,
Right.
because I researched what they actually did, but I was like, that's
What they
so
actually did
cool.
was pretty cool.
If
Snuck
the
'em in on
Ukrainians
trucks.
did that, that's like the funniest thing ever. They
If they
sent a
flew that
flying
over-
formation of a penis and blew up planes. That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what they did. They hit them in trucks and had
Mhm.
remote switches for the lids to fall off, and the drones, like, that was awesome. This is straight
it's
out of
pretty
a James
impressive.
Bond movie.
Blew up like 30
Well,
bombers. That's pretty impressive.
Ukraine's and Russia are getting really good with their drones, their drone technology.
And they're so
Keep
getting
saying
kinda
this has
scary.
changed modern warfare, right?
Oh, yeah.
Modern
They're
warfare
so
will
cheap.
never be the same. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
it's crazy. But they were just supposed to start negotiating. What are you guys'
Oh,
opinions on this? Do you think it affects anything?
no. Putin has zero interest in ending this war. Zero interest.
Why?
Because he's slowly making gains. And I think this is how Putin is maintaining power in Russia. This is, at least in the US, it's historically been the case that we do not like changing leadership in the middle of a war. And Putin is using that, right? He's in the middle of a war. He created the war. He's lied about it, right? But he created the war. He's got to stay in power to finish this war. And he's framed it as, we're being attacked. You need me to defend Mother Russia. And at some level, Ukraine bombing Russia inside Russia plays right into what Putin wants. But Putin
Interesting
also,
take.
Putin also sees, and this is weird, and I know both of you are probably going to disagree with this, but sees Trump as not stopping him. Trump has done nothing to stop him, right? He could have enacted harsher sanctions. He's not doing that. He could have demanded certain things. He's not doing anything. He's not even stepping up to really aid Ukraine at the level that we were previously aiding Ukraine. So the way that Putin sees this is if Trump doesn't make a decision, if Trump doesn't do anything, then Russia slowly gains more and more territory until they eventually win. Or at the point that somebody does actually say, nope, this has to end, and whatever they can do to bring it to an end, then that just gives Putin more leverage because he owns more Ukrainian territory that he's like, we're going to keep it. This is ours, and Ukraine doesn't get to be part of NATO. So the longer this war drags out, the better it is for Putin. Putin has zero interest in ending this war. Every time that he's like, oh yeah, we're going to go have a negotiation or something like that, he sends like Bob the janitor from the fourth floor of the Hilton, and he's like, you go negotiate for us, and you can do a prisoner exchange, and that's it. That's all you're gonna do.
Comrade Bob is good negotiator. No, you're right. I just saw where the one of the Russian state news agencies was kind of mocking Trump. They're like, yeah, he said this, but he's going to say the opposite tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So I think you're right. I'm just, how is Russia not being bled dry by this? Because I mean, we
did you hear how much they made last year?
No.
$26 billion
off
in
of
selling
oil?
Off of oil to the European Union.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
so the European Union is
actually funding Russia and funding Ukraine.
And say what you will about Trump, he called this years ago when he said you guys got to quit buying their oil. I didn't realize they were still buying that much of it. That makes sense how he can afford this.
Russia has the GDP of Indiana, the state of Indiana.
That's it?
Yeah. I mean, it's always been like that. Before the war, it's like that's their industry.
That's what's blowing my mind. Like, we beat them in a Cold War without shooting any guns because the buildup bankrupted them, right?
Yeah.
So they're in this war where they're not doing well. They are making small gains, but they're throwing so many bodies and so much equipment at this. How are they still funding it? It's just European oil money? Like, that's really what's going on?
Well, and China.
We would not be the first country that bled out themselves trying to win a war, a unilateral war, right? Like, this has happened many times in the past.
Sure.
Like, that's how the French Revolution came about. They were trying to support America's war with Britain, and bled themselves out, and like, this happens all the time. And like, Russia doesn't have to win, right? They don't like I think it's kind of like what Ryan's saying. Like, they don't have to. They can just keep doing what they're doing, and they're so used to this crap, right? And but we're like gonna kill ourselves with the spending, right? We're already the bond market's already like, we don't try. You guys gotta stop spending,
right? So I mean, it's not like Russia's doing great. Their economy is struggling, right? All of the tariffs and all of the kind of restrictions that we put on their economy have hurt them. That, like, legitimately they're struggling, right? But they're still bringing in billions of dollars every year just because of their natural resources. China is buying more oil from them, so they're doing fine on that front. The European Union is still getting natural gas from them, even though they don't want to. They don't really have a choice. So Russia is still bringing in money, and then they're turning around and spending a lot of that money on attacking Ukraine. And they're losing lots of soldiers, but Ukraine's population is what? Like a tenth the size of Russia's,
I mean,
right?
Russia has never cared about losing soldiers. That's what they're best at, is literally throwing bodies at bullets. Like, that's what they do. That's what they've always done.
It's so sad.
But let's think about it. Ukraine isn't interested in ending this war either, right?
Well, I don't think
money train.
I don't think Zelensky is. I think the people are.
That's
for sure. I think the people are. I think Zelensky. It's interesting. I think Zelensky, if he isn't actually interested, then you have to call him a fairly smart guy, because he's making all the right moves right now to convince Trump that he is actually interested.
Yeah.
And what he's done is he's gotten Trump to at least flip to where Trump is just talking shit about Putin. He's not actually doing anything, but he's like, Putin, you need to stop this, right? You need to stop this. So he's changed sides, at least in the sense that Trump now realizes that Putin doesn't want to stop the war, and he sees Zelensky as wanting to stop the war. Whether that's true or not, that's at least what Zelensky has accomplished, is convince Trump that he wants to stop the war. So,
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true. I'd say win the war, but like, yeah,
oh yeah, I mean, Zelensky would love to win the war, right? But I don't, whether
right.
he wants to stop it or not, like we could debate that. I think he actually does, but that's fine. At the end of the day, what he's done is convince Trump that that's what Zelensky wants. Zelensky wants the war to end, and
Yeah,
he's willing to negotiate about it.
I think you're dead on about that. That's what all the signs point to. I've just been shocked that Russia doesn't want to end the war. I'm like, I don't know. I shouldn't be because of Russia's military history. They have the
Right.
worst freaking leaders. I saw a headline where they're bringing back statues of Lenin. Lenin killed so many
What?
freaking Russians.
What?
Like,
They're bringing back
yeah,
statues of Lenin?
yeah. I saw that today
Well,
somewhere.
actually, Lenin wasn't the one who killed all the people. It was actually Stalin. It was
They're all
Stalin's
suck.
leap
All of their
forward.
leaders suck. They
Well,
revere
yeah.
Peter the Great. You know how many Russians Peter the Great got killed? He was the worst. And they're like, he's the
I'm not
great.
trying.
No,
I don't know
he's
how
a
I'm
douchebag.
defending Lenin. I'm just saying he wasn't as bad as Stalin.
Wasn't as
They were
bad.
all terrible, but like he wasn't as
I
bad as
just
Yes.
Stalin.
I
Stalin
just
killed
don't
millions.
understand Russians. Like, they seem
Yeah.
reasonable. Why are they okay with this bullcrap? They're I don't know.
Well, I
The
mean,
whole
there's a
thing
big
just
fear
makes
economy there too, right? Like you don't
Yes.
want to be the one who
Yes.
pokes your head up as the black sheep because that gets
Yes.
lopped off pretty quick in Russia right now. He'll
sure.
kill anybody. Putin does
Yeah.
not care. He kills them left and right. So, yeah. Oh,
The
another plane accident. Oh,
Well,
another plane accident.
right.
Man, I would not fly on a Russian plane for $1 trillion.
Well, there was this, I read this whole I think it was a documentary or something. I can't remember what I was reading, but they were just going in about like how the transitionary period between the fall of the USSR and then how we became like this oligarchic society. And it was like literally like factories, they would be like, okay, this is a government factory. We are going to give it all to the people. So all the workers get these shares.
Yep.
And the shares, like they're like, okay, and these Russian guys, like, okay, I own, 0.5% of this company. Last time somebody had a bunch of property and there was a big revolution going on. What happened to those people again? Oh yeah, they all got killed. And
well,
he's
they
like,
sure
I
did.
don't want this, right? And so
So
somebody's
the
like, I'll give you
oligarchs
some
showed
money
up.
for it. And he's like, yes, sir, right? So the
Yep.
oligarchs would just like eat all
Yep.
the night and was
Sucked
like,
it
yeah,
all up
yeah,
and then
don't
they
give
got
this
all
to
the
me. I
money.
do not want to get strangled, right? And so it was
Interesting.
this. I
Hmm.
think
So that
they've
I said I didn't
their
know that. So
mindset
the
is just so foreign to ours.
the
Yeah.
common people were afraid of being the new class of kulaks, so they just gave the oligarchs everything. That's
Well,
what
and there was
happened.
a lot of
It's a
deception too.
simplified.
Yeah. So there was a
Wow.
lot of like, hey, I'll give you more than it's worth, right? When in fact it was worth a lot more than they were paying them. So they went in and lowballed everybody and bought up all the shares. And they did it so quick and they realized what they were doing, right? So the oligarchs knew what was going on. The regular Joe on the street, like Tom said, they just didn't know capitalism. They hadn't
Hmm.
lived under capitalism. They didn't understand what power they actually had with those shares. So like, oh, you'll give me money for me still working at this company? Like, okay. Sold off all their shares. And there was also the fear factor, right? And the oligarchs walked away with hundreds of billions of dollars, hundreds of
Right.
billions of dollars. So, yeah.
Frickin' Russia.
Right.
Wow. No, it's interesting. I had strong opinions on how I thought this would go when it kicked off. Then a year later, then when Trump got elected, and I've been wrong at every turn. I can't figure out. I mean, I actually wasn't wrong right off the bat. I know why Putin's doing what he's doing, but man, I can't believe Russia's still going strong and doesn't want to end the war. Like,
Yeah, they don't want to end a war. The
What
longer they delay, the better their position.
do you have another question, Josh?
um, no, we better get to yours. We spent more time on those than I thought.
Okay.
If we have time at the end, I'll ask one more.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. Yeah, American exceptionalism. So this, I kind of wanted to go back to, we had the conversation about immigration. We did the podcast about immigration. We were talking about Sweden's yeah, Sweden? No, was it Sweden?
Denmark?
It was Sweden. Sweden's
Okay.
immigration issues
Oh, yes. Yeah.
and then which we were all, obviously transmorphing into like and comparing with America's immigration issues. But like at the end, we were talking about culture, and we're saying like, is one culture better than another, right? Like our culture is better than another, right? And we had a little discussion about that. And so like I think it kind of lends to that idea of American exceptionalism, and this is something that like the Trump administration has talked about, advocated for, that there's some specialness to America, and that like and so like I just want to like get your guys' take on that idea. Like, do you believe are is America special? Is this just like coincidence? Just we just happen to be right in the right place in the right time. What is this all about? And like I just want to have a conversation about it. I have some stats about it, and so like we can talk about it. Like I just don't know if anyone has anything to say right off the bat.
Absolutely. So I think you should draw the line. There's two sides to the equation. Is an American life worth more than a Cambodian life? No. Like that on that moral level, like my life's not worth more than somebody else's, right?
Hmm.
Um, so we're not talking about that. We're not saying that, other people are lesser. I'm not saying that there are other people that are
Or
lesser than
superior to
me.
them. Hmm.
I'm talking about our culture. I'm talking about our belief system and what America has done, what America is, like culture, right? And my take is there is empirical evidence that yes, America is exceptional. What
In
America
what
has
ways, though?
accomplished.
This is the part that I just don't I don't follow. How are we exceptional?
Here,
Here's an example that you can't argue. Uh, who got rid of slavery? America gets a lot of crap for slavery, and white Christian men get a lot of crap for slavery. Slavery has existed forever. Who put an end to it? White Christian men in America. But they were the first abolitionists. And what happened after white Christian men said, you know what?
Uh,
Owning other men
that's
is
just not
kind of
true, though,
bullcrap.
Josh.
It is
The
true.
first country to outlaw slavery was France in 1315.
Okay, cool. Did it catch on for the rest of the world in
Eventually,
1315? No. The rest of the world still practiced slavery.
but you just said
And
that the U.S. was the first to get rid of slavery, and I just said no, they were
okay,
500 years
okay.
late.
Thanks for being pedantic. Who who who
There's nothing
started it?
exceptional about it.
Who started the abolitionist movement? America. And then everybody very
America didn't even
quickly followed
exist in
suit.
1315, Josh.
Yeah, and everybody still had slaves except for France. Okay, good job, France.
Spain got rid of it in 1542.
Uh, no, they still had.
I'm literally reading about it right
You can
now.
read all you want during the which war was it? What are you talking about? During the wars, they had other people. They would capture sailors and use them as slaves. All of those countries did, guaranteed. In the 1400s, you don't think that Spanish had English slaves? Like, go read a history book. Maybe they
I'm
outlawed that you
literally
couldn't.
reading it right now.
Okay, cool. You're wrong. I don't know where you're reading it. They all had slaves. They
In
would capture
1807, the slave trade was made illegal throughout the British Empire.
in
yeah,
1807.
yeah, it's true.
I
Okay,
mean,
cool.
I don't know where you're getting this, that like the US started the abolition movement and we were the first to ban slavery. Like it's just patently not true.
Okay, we
It's
weren't
just
the first to
false.
ban slavery, but
Okay,
we
thank
were the
you.
first. Where did the abolition movement really start? And
In the
everybody
UK.
followed suit.
In the
Okay,
UK.
okay, whatever. Okay,
It actually did start in the UK. I mean, it started a long time ago before the US was even the US.
okay, yes, I acknowledge that.
Okay.
I was actually just reading last month about a guy in the UK. I can't remember his name, but he was like huge on that. Okay,
Yep.
thank you for the clarification. You're not wrong, but the United States, we fought a war about it, and then the whole world followed suit. Okay, we another way to put it. Okay, clearly not the best example there. Um, if you take one country out of the world,
Mhm.
which country has the most effect on the entire world?
Right now,
Yeah.
the US.
Okay. Like, then how do you not say that it's exceptional? We just lucked into that status?
That hasn't always been the case,
Right.
and it probably won't always
Sure.
be the case. So
Of course,
what
it hasn't
makes us
always been the
exceptional?
case.
Sure, but what makes us exceptional? I mean, that strikes me as a much stronger argument for just being lucky. We got lucky at the right time, and that's why we're the world superpower right now.
we were able to clean up after the wars? Because I've heard
Hmm.
that dumb argument.
But right,
I mean,
you
there are
can make
other
the argument
factors that
like
go into it. Yeah,
somebody
but
had to be the strongest, right? So we are right now.
yeah, I mean,
Britain was before.
the British Empire, right, eventually collapsed. They
Sure.
were the exceptional empire for a long time, and once they collapsed, who took over, right?
Hmm. Um, so like here's some of the things that I listed up well, ChatGPT and talked about like w in what ways we are. I don't agree with all these because I talked about like higher education and like we have the best education. I don't know if that's true. Uh,
Historically, we've
right,
had the best
Ryan.
universities,
Just
but
kidding.
just
That's
saying. Historically,
What?
we have. Historically, we've had
Yeah.
the best
Well,
best universities, the highest. This isn't true anymore, right? But the highest number of publications
mm,
per like research
we're-
professor, the highest number of
mm,
patents. We had a lot of those. China has now surpassed us on most of those,
yeah.
not in terms of the like the completely subjective ratings of universities, right? I'm just going to own that those are largely subjective ratings. China doesn't have any that are really like up there, but the US still has quite a few of the top universities in terms of research output, highest rated, things like that. We compete with Europe. So for a long time, we've had the best higher education system in the world, and we're in the process of gutting that. So that's loads of fun. That's fun to watch.
Gutting it, meaning ruining it,
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we have researchers who are fleeing this country, and Europe is laughing like crazy right now. Spain has allotted $500 million to recruit researchers from the US. Denmark has done the same thing. Norway has done the same thing. The entire European Union, they're putting billions of dollars to recruiting the top researchers in the world who historically have been in the United States. We have
Hmm.
more Nobel Prize winners than any other country. Guess where they're all going? They're all going to Europe right now because the Trump administration is going after higher education in the United States.
No, because we can't afford it. That's why.
pretty. We had the most Nobel Prize winners, so we're exceptional. Good argument, Ryan.
Because we have had the best higher education system in the in the world, and
Sounds pretty
we're
exceptional to
attacking it.
me.
Sure, we can say it's exceptional. It's not the best
Here,
anymore, but it was
here
because
were the
luck
things
of the
I
draw.
thought were noteworthy. So, founding ideas. America was founded on Enlightenment ideas, liberty, equality, democracy, and individual rights, enshrined in like Declaration of Independence and Constitution.
Mm,
Can we pause after some of these? Because I want to challenge like everything that you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, let me just, there's only like five here that I think are actually
Okay.
worth mentioning. Economic innovation. So, home to major innovations, Silicon Valley, Ford assembly lines, financial markets, startups, Apple and Google. Cultural influence. So, America, media, music, fashion, entertainment, dominant cultural, global culture, like Hollywood, Netflix, hip hop, fast food, right? These things that have kind of changed society. Rule of law, strong constitutional protections, separation of powers, and a relatively stable legal system for over 2 centuries. And then global, no, sorry, global philanthropy. Americans donate more per capita to charities than citizens of most other countries, both domestically and abroad. And the last one would be resilience and reinvention. The U.S. has overcome major crises like the Civil War, the Great Depression, 9/11, and adapted through social movements like civil rights, women's suffrage, etc. So, and I think this speaks to actually what we were just talking about. Like Russia has this major revolution where the people just don't rise up. They don't step up to the occasion, right? And they just sort of like power vacuum, oligarchs come in and just like it's business as usual in Russia, right? And it's like because you just don't have that the individual spirit, whatever, some kind of culture within them that they can't overcome like this bad system. So they just kind of perpetuate
and
it.
that's been their way for hundreds of years. Like
Right. And
their
they can't
their
seem to
leaders, their leaders slaughtered their own people, and they're
and they
just
have this
like,
massive opportunity and they can't
yeah,
do anything about it.
it's weird. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Anyway,
But
so go ahead, Ryan. Ryan, thoughts? Or you want
I mean, it's easy to pick on Russia, right?
to? Right. No, I mean
I think
and
it's
it
really
is an easy example.
yeah, it's an easy target And it's tricky because I think we've already said, right? Culture is not biology. I talk about this in my social classes, right? Biology, that is our nature side. That's what we've kind of evolved to be. And then we have the culture side, which is what is learned. So bringing this back to Russia, you have what, let's say 60 years of Soviet rule or more, right? So it's actually a bit more than that before the Soviet system collapses. So basically, all of the people who are in the Soviet Union when the Soviet system collapses have largely not known any other economic system. So their culture, right, is literally a culture where the government steps in and takes care of most of the things that are happening. And then without any training, without any intervention, the government's like, everybody gets a share of a company. Okay, so they had a chance to revolutionize their country. They genuinely did. And then we're faulting them for not realizing the chance that they had, even though they didn't know what chance they had. So I'm not trying to defend Russia. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Russia is amazing and their culture is great.
That
I'm
shirt you're
saying
wearing
their
looks pretty
culture,
red, comrade.
so does yours, comrade. Um,
Yeah.
their
The real reason
culture,
Ryan wears red.
their culture led to the outcome that we're now criticizing them for, right? And it was a culture of communism, which I think we've all recognized communism really, really problematic, that led to that very specific outcome. I didn't want to try and defend Russia here or Russian culture. I'm not even trying to do that. Clearly, there are problems, but those problems are the result of years and years of Soviet dictatorship,
But
basically.
Well, but it
but
was
you
long
are
before that. Like in the era of the czars, they did the same weird crap. Like I was saying earlier, Peter the Great, he had this idea where he wanted to modernize Russia because they were
Yep.
very backwards. They were behind all the rest of Europe, right? And he killed so many freaking Russians to do it. And the
Mhm.
Russians were just like, okay, that's the order of the day. And then he taxed them out the yin
Well,
yang, right? And they just
yeah,
they
I'm
just
not
put up
dis
with it. They
I'm
don't.
not disagreeing with you. It's awful. But do you want to be the first one who says stop, right? The
Well,
first person who says stop gets a bullet in the head, right?
yeah.
Like
sure.
you
But
you know
at
that's
some
how it
point
happens.
America broke away from England. Like
Hmm.
somebody in America was like, "Stop." They were the first
Yes.
person, right?
Well,
And everybody else in America was like, "Yeah, this is pretty dumb. Let's
right.
fight." And if they
So
kill us, they kill us.
it was secretive organization to build up a substantial mass, right? So
Sure.
once you've got a substantial mass, then you can stand up and say, now we're going to fight you. So it wasn't like Joe up the street said, "Meh, enough of this British rule. I'm done with this stuff," right? He got shot. It was a bunch of secret organization, and then they're like, okay,
So
now we have enough people. We've got a critical mass. Now we can actually stand up to
so
them.
what you're saying
And
is Americans' exceptionalism is that we just form secret organizations better than
so they're
everybody
the
else?
Gadiant and robbers. No, we have another huge bonus, right? The people we overthrew were an ocean away.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah,
That is
that
a
helps.
huge bonus, right?
Yes.
When you're an
But
ocean
they were
away,
also the premier world power, so
they
that
were.
that wasn't a trifling thing.
No, no, no.
But
It
you're
wasn't a
right.
tribal thing.
You're right.
But they were an ocean away. And so by the time they realized what was happening over here, it was 3 months after it had already started,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So we had a huge advantage. You can't do that, let's say, if you're the Netherlands trying to overthrow, we can use all sorts of examples. Norway
Right.
trying to overthrow Sweden, right?
Right.
They're right there. They're literally right there. You're
Run a
literally
horse
connected to each
runner,
other.
messenger,
Yes.
next day,
A boat,
everywhere.
and you've got a next day, right?
Assemble
So
the army.
yes, we've got a huge advantage there that it's a 3 month time lag at the time period when we were able to actually take action. And I'm not
Yes.
trying to use that as an excuse to say that we aren't exceptional in a lot of other ways. I actually agree in some ways with some of the things that you pointed out, our founding ideals, right? Yes, I agree that the tripartite government was innovative. That was original. That was the first government ever. It was the first secular government, right? So we
Right.
did do some really innovative things. It's tricky though, because a lot of those ideals, they actually come from Europe. The
Mm.
Enlightenment was entirely in Europe. So we
Hmm.
stole a lot of those ideas.
Sure.
Most of
Hmm.
We
the people
stole
who came over were
we stole a lot
Europeans.
of British common law.
Yeah.
But that like
So,
what's the problem with taking the best from all their cultures and forming something that is exceptional?
but, and I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, right? I think that's great.
Well,
So,
I honestly let me let me just jump in right there and I'll let you continue. I firmly believe that's what American exceptionalism is. We take the best from, because we're the melting pot. We're the world's melting pot. We have a lot of immigrants that have come here. We take the best from what they have, and we've created this from the best of what they brought. I think that's where American exceptionalism really comes from. I don't think that's a problem, but sorry, keep going.
I mean, that's actually beautiful, Josh, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. It is interesting though that our current state of affairs is to stop all immigration, right? So we can come back to that because, like, put a pin in that. You're saying our strength, our superpower is the diversity of ideas, and we're anti-DEI, we're
let's talk about that.
anti-immigration, we're
Illegal.
Let's talk about that.
What, do
Because
you
we
want to
were,
pause and talk about it? Because I've got a whole list of other things we
because
can
it's
talk
actually
about.
important. We were inundated for several years. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, but
Yeah, big
like,
numbers.
there are so many more Latinos every day that don't speak any English. I run into them every day. Okay, I'm a blue
Josh, I
collar
live in
guy.
Florida.
Okay,
I live
I'm
in
just saying.
Florida. Hello.
Right.
Well, there was
That's where they're all
there was a
coming.
big Cuban population before. I don't know if
Sure.
you've seen a big influx of Latinos from South America. Okay,
Yeah.
we've seen a ton here. Like, it used to be a fairly small minority 10 years ago. Now, most of my renters are Latino. Okay. My
Mhm.
wife works at the hospital. She comes home really discouraged several days a week because the hospitals are now inundated
Yeah.
with Latinos that don't speak any English. And the
And
problem
she doesn't
is
speak Spanish.
that's not the problem. The problem is their attitude. There are a minority of them that are very grateful, but they understand they can go to the emergency room and get free health care. And a lot of them are here illegally. And she said the problem is they're so entitled. They come in and they just demand things because they know that we have to help them, and they're absolute jerks about it. And like, it's the problem with the immigration thing. This is why I bring it up. When immigrants come here and they come here slowly enough that they can integrate into our society, they bring the best and they get rid of the crap that we don't accept. Okay. I was talking to my neighbor last Wednesday. Um, she lives by the church right by the Bowery. You guys know right
Yep.
where that is. She
Mhm.
said 2 weeks ago, this group of about 80 Latinos showed up in the parking lot of the church, had a barbecue, didn't ask permission. Nobody knew why they were there, and they just left all their garbage there and left. Like, she went over and cleaned it up. She said it took her hours. They left rotting food, and like, they just left all this crap there. Like, that's not integrating into our society. That's bringing their culture and staying, bringing everything with their culture and just existing here. That's problematic. That's weird. Like, that's not something we do. That's not what we do in Utah. We don't go to a church parking lot and just trash it and walk away. That's not our culture. That's very problematic when you don't come here and assimilate. So when the borders were open and people just flooded in, and I know Trump gets a lot of crap because of the immigration stuff and he put a stop to it, Obama deported way more people than Trump.
I
Okay.
know.
Okay. So
That's a fact.
I had to jump in right there. Immigration's good if it's controlled. And one of the points there was we followed the law. Well, we're not following the law if we just let people come here illegally, because now they're illegal, right? Either we're a country of laws or we're not, and that's one of the things that America's been great at. We followed the law. My brother-in-law from Paraguay, he was shocked. The first time he went to my in-laws' house, he's looking around going, "Where's the walls?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Where's the walls? How come all of your stuff's not being stolen constantly?" Because in Paraguay, they live in
Oh, out
cement
like a gate
compounds.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 10-foot walls around their house. There's a security gate. That's the only way to get in. Everything's locked all the time. And my in-laws are like, "We don't even lock our cars. What are you talking about?"
Right.
It's not, obviously it's illegal to steal down there. Everybody does it. Like, they're not a country of laws. So that is an exceptional thing. There are countries that are safer than others, but it's pretty safe here. Like, we try to enforce the law. That's an important thing. And that's why I think the right is so bent out of shape about the immigration crisis that we had. We let all of these people in that are not assimilating, and they don't really follow our laws. I saw just yesterday, I saw a fire truck was trying to cross this intersection, had lights blaring and everything. Everybody stopped, and then this Latino guy comes barreling through the intersection, maybe this is an assumption on my part, didn't look like he knew how to drive. He almost, if the fire truck hadn't have slammed his truck in reverse, he would have got T-boned by this guy. This guy wasn't following the law. He's going 70 through an intersection in downtown Roy. It's crazy, right? You got to follow the law. So, all right. I put a pin in the immigration thing. Go ahead, Ryan. Unless something more interesting is happening behind you.
No, my 3D printer is just changing the filament. Sorry. So it's a day and a half print, and I've got to make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do, or it's going to ruin it. But anyway, I mean, we can talk about immigration a bunch. So I was trying to hit at founding ideals, right? Clearly, we took a lot of ideas. The Enlightenment was not an American thing. It happened before America existed. I mean, obviously, there were Native Americans here, so I don't mean to minimize that. Not all of our founding ideals were perfect. I think we can all just
Sure.
agree on that, right? So
Absolutely.
we had some flaws. We fixed some of those. So I think that's good. Um, I can hit at a couple of others that I think are kind of interesting that maybe would be worth just playing with. So the media influence one. I actually agree that the US is extremely influential when it comes to the media. Okay. I'm not debating that it is, but how much of that has also been us here in the US taking minority culture, co-opting that, and then turning that into majority culture, making money off of it, and then exporting that, right? So rock and roll, jazz, hip hop, all of that music actually came from the Black community.
Hmm.
And now who makes money off of it, right? So and I'm not saying like we are not still exceptional in terms of our media influence. I think we still are. We are quite exceptional. Our movies are watched around the world. I don't know if I told you, I met a woman in Costa Rica when I was a missionary there who learned how to speak English by listening to Guns N' Roses. That is literally how she learned how to speak English, was just listening to Guns N' Roses. And her
That's weird.
English was surprisingly good, right? Like it's a funny story, but it's actually pretty impressive. The number of people I've talked to around the world who have watched Friends or watch our media. But this also has contributed to September 11th and the radicalizing of Osama bin Laden. It was largely our media influence. Oh yeah, our media influence where women wear bikinis on TV. Well,
Mhm.
we're pumping that into Saudi Arabia. It's not
Oh,
like they
come on.
don't show
That's what
this on Saudi Arabia.
radicalized Osama bin
Osama bin
Laden.
Laden?
They found so much pornography in his compound. What are you talking about?
That's
That was
straight up
most
what
of
he
the
said.
that's most of
That's
the files they found in his compound. You're
was
saying it's
porn.
because yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'd like to check that. We should check that. But he straight up said that it was our media influence that was a big part of his radicalization, and it was also the fact that we have military bases in Saudi Arabia. So again, I'm just complicating it. I'm not actually saying that we're not exceptional. I'm saying
Mhm.
we stole a lot of that, we exploited it, then we exported it, and in some ways we are exceptional in this. It's just complicated,
We
right?
stole a lot of that. That is
I don't
such a
think that's
weird
actually
woke
even
way.
debated. That's
We
not debatable.
we stole jazz from black people and turned around and sold it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that
Same with
means,
rock and
but
roll.
like a lot
We
of
stole it from
a
them.
lot of black people got rich off of that
Yeah.
and
Some
benefited
people
from
did,
that.
right?
Louis
But
Armstrong's
Yeah.
like one
But
of my
like,
favorite musicians of all time. I think he got
sure,
paid pretty well.
I did, right? But there are
but
also the Harry Connick Juniors of the world, right? And there's Elvis.
Wow. Okay,
Like
what you
you're
just
gonna
said
tell
is
me that
so
Elvis
stupidly woke. So so because they
it's
invent
stupidly
an,
woke.
it is. What did I say?
So
We take when people come here, we take the best of their culture and we integrate it into ourselves. So you're saying
yeah,
because somebody came up with a blues riff, no white artist can ever sing a
no,
blues
no.
song or
I'm
we've
actually
appropriated their
Josh,
culture?
you're
That is
you're
so
you're no,
stupid.
you are totally putting words into my mouth, which is
Then what are
actually
you
quite
saying?
infuriating. I actually am not a huge fan of cultural appropriation as like this woke concept of you can't do this.
Good,
If
because
you
it's insane.
recall, I had dreadlocks at one point, and people gave me a lot of shit for having dreadlocks. Okay.
for
Okay,
But
so what
for
so
cultural
what's your
for
appropriation.
cultural appropriation, right?
what's your
Yeah.
problem with Harry Connick Jr.?
No, no, no. I'm saying there are a lot of white people who have made money off of culturally appropriating the music that was
Mm-hmm.
created by other groups. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that it's wrong to do it. I'm literally not saying that
You
it's
did. You
wrong to
said we
do it.
stole it, and
We
then
did.
we turned
We
around
stole
and
it and we exploited it. That's absolutely true. I'm just not saying that's a bad thing.
Right.
I'm literally
okay,
saying, like, it
okay.
happened.
Your
It
verbiage.
literally happened,
Okay,
right?
okay.
We
So,
took it from this culture, we
yes.
exploited it, and we're making money off of it.
Yes.
Now,
Well,
there are
but that's
lots of
so
people
weird
who
to
would
me.
say that's bad, and I'm saying that is what America does. But
Well,
does that make us somehow
Are
exceptional?
are you saying that's bad though?
No, I'm
Because
not necessarily
it's
saying
just
it's
so
bad.
stupid. Like for you to say, like last I checked, black people are American, so it's just a skin color issue. Like they
Hmm.
created jazz. Okay,
Sure.
cool. Like, and I understand the derivations of it, and
Yep.
it's plantation music, and yeah, I get all that. They're Americans too. You're saying just because their skin color is different, we stole it from them. Harry Connick Jr. stole it from them. I like
I
I
just had
find
to
that
throw out the one
so
jazz art. I don't like jazz.
laughably
I hate
stupid.
jazz.
I
I
love
hate
jazz.
so,
jazz. I know you
Ryan,
do. And I went to a jazz concert with you, and I still hate that organist. I
That
don't even know who it
that
was.
was bad.
That dude
Herbie
sucked.
Hancock, it
He
sucked.
was
That
the
was bad.
worst. That was like
I'll give you
3 hours
that one.
of my life that I will never get back,
Okay,
and I
that one was
hate you for
bad.
that. That was
He
so bad.
the organ he played, it was like that weird 70s vibe.
Oh
That was a
my
bad one.
gosh.
I'll give you
Oh,
that one.
oh.
so
That jazz I can't handle. Sorry.
I think it's interesting that we have these. So like, yeah, because like it's like, did America push the Native Americans off their land and put them into these, basically these
Reservations.
reservations?
The worst possible land on the
Found the
continent.
worst
Yes,
land
we
and
absolutely
stuck them
did.
on it. Trail
Yep.
of Tears, things like this, right? And this, and the list goes on and on, like what the sins of America. But the thing is like almost every nation has done this at some
Yes.
point. Like they're
So how
almost
are we
all guilty
exceptional?
of this. Right, right, right.
Argentina almost entirely wiped out their entire indigenous population. I learned about that when I was down there and went to a museum, right? So
Yes.
they were better at genocide than we were.
Right, right.
Hooray,
But
right? But we still tried it. We
but
tried
like
to wipe out all the Native Americans.
what so like and I like what you're I think the concept you're trying to say, and I think I agree with it, is that Apple stole a bunch of their stuff from Xerox, right?
Yep.
And then but they just took it, kind of exploited Xerox, took all these ideas, repackaged it, and they just did it kind of better, executed really well, and now we have Apple, right? And like
Mhm.
the list goes on and on of like us just taking ideas, exploiting different groups or whatever, and just give them a paycheck or whatever, but like, and maybe don't give them what they paid they're worth, but like that's just business. It's happening everywhere, all over the world, all the time.
Yep.
America
Well,
does it really well,
Yeah.
right?
So how are we
And
particularly
you're saying
exceptional at that?
your
Yeah.
point is that, so I'm like agreeing, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
well,
anything that's great is built, there's like some skeletons inside that, right? And like that's usually wasn't a sunshine and rosy like pathway to greatness, right? There's always usually
Right.
some
but it kind of
compromise in there.
sounds like the argument Ryan's making is we're exceptional at exploiting people. Well, you still use the word. That's exceptional.
Well, I mean, I think what I'm trying to get at, right? And it is at some level, yeah, we have historically been very good at making money. So if you want to
Mhm.
argue anything about the US, it's that we have been exceptional at capitalism. Absolutely
Right.
true. But I heard a story just today that there is a company in China that is totally ripping off SpaceX as rockets. And
Mm-hmm.
they're going to probably leapfrog SpaceX and actually build better rockets than SpaceX because they're exploiting their technology, right?
Right,
So
right,
yeah, it's not like we're the only country that does this. Any
right.
country that has the resources is going to try and exploit other countries. That is the
Yes,
way the game works.
yes.
We've just been the dominant one for the last 200, well, not even 200 years, the last 150
We've
years or something like
we've
that.
done, yes, we're
Yeah,
the ones
we've
that's
been
been
really
doing
good
it.
at it, right? Are we going to
Yeah,
continue? No, probably not for a
right,
variety of reasons. And I'm not even going to
right,
blame the current administration. Our
right,
national debt is a huge problem, right?
right.
We have a serious issue right now. Uh, China's technology sector is killing us right now. They are really killing it. They built up their manufacturing technology to where we can't even replicate it. It would take us decades to build up the manufacturing sector that they have over there. They're just that good at it. It's amazing what they've built up. They're the best manufacturers in the world. There's not even a question about that. And that's part of the reason why Trump's tariffs just make no sense, right? If he had phased these in to slowly try and bring manufacturing back, that might have made sense, but to drop them on a dime, he's putting companies out of business left and right. It makes no sense because we don't have the manufacturing capacity that China does, and they've invested trillions of dollars in that. So what makes us exceptional in that front? I don't know.
You're okay. Well, you're saying this is so weird to me. You're kind of making a case that China is more exceptional than the U.S. or will be in the near future.
Well, they are in
Okay.
manufacturing right now.
Okay.
I don't think that's
Great.
debated in
Do you
manufacturing
want to
for sure.
live in China? Because
No.
during COVID, if you were sick, they sealed you into your apartment and let you die.
Mhm.
Okay. If you talk bad about the regime in China, they will kill you. These are not good people. I don't see an influx of Latinos trying to go to China. Okay. I see a lot of people from all over the world still trying to come to America. I don't see anybody trying to get into China.
There are plenty of people trying to get into
There-
Europe. There are plenty of people trying to get into
Okay.
Japan. Lots of different countries.
Okay.
Australia, pick the country. Lots of countries where they're willing to go.
Because they're in absolute crap holes, so they're trying to
Yeah.
go from a 0 to a 1, right? But if they have their druthers, most people are trying to get into the United States. Nobody's trying to get into China. So essentially, what I'm getting at, like, yeah, America has its problems, and they're getting exacerbated, and we all agree. Maybe the country falls apart if we don't fix the debt crisis. Um, really, in addition to it's like the way your mind frames it, I see it as we take the best of a culture and a people, and we accept that and roll that into what we're doing. And your word is we steal that and we exploit it. That's so bizarre to me. But my
It's not
main
like we're
thing,
saying different things. We're saying the same thing. I'm
yeah,
just
your
framing it
your take
in a
on
more
it is
negative way.
just so disgusting.
Yeah.
I, like,
Well,
but I'm trying to understand it. But my core issue here is I believe American exceptionalism really comes down to our our focus on the primacy of the individual. Okay, yeah, we stole English common law from Britain, and it wasn't like the worst place to live 300 years ago in comparison to the rest of the world. But you still had a king, you still had a monarch that was it was primacy of the monarch, primacy of the state, and the state took precedence over the individual, right? It wasn't until America the Greeks tried it a long time ago and they got wiped out like 100 years into their experiment of a true democracy. America did pioneer this where we went, okay, it's primacy of the individual. We're going to have a democratic republic and you're going to have rights and the individual has rights and your rights are supposed to supersede like the president, like the state doesn't have primacy over the individual, right? In my mind, that's really where the exceptionalism of America has shined, and then everything kind of rolls out from that. The capitalism and the innovation and all of that stuff. It really rolls out of people have rights.
uh, here's my question. So, well, a couple things, and then I want to throw it over to you or to you guys to see what you think. But like, so Ryan made a few good points. He talked about like the oceans we have are like huge advantages for us on either side of us.
Yep.
Um, and there's this, watched a documentary about like, is America OP? And it was just talking about like the oceans. It was talking about the number of interior harbor, like these massive harbors we have along the coastlines. Like no other country has that like combined in the world than we have. And the other one was the Mississippi and like how it runs up into the interior
Mid-middle.
and
Yeah.
creates these huge shipping lanes and also like all this farm agricultural and then can be shipped out just like we can
Yep.
put in these shipping lanes and ship it out. It's just like huge advantages that we have like geographically. But like I think the thing that I would want to say is like, was our America's rise inevitable versus it just happened, right? And we were just the last man standing, and we just happened to be like, oh, look, it's our turn in the spotlight, or was it inevitable based on
Ryan's
like how Americans like what we were doing?
Ryan's gonna scream and rant and rave at this answer, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it's obvious. This is the promised land. This is what God anointed as the promised land. So yeah, the rise was inevitable. God bless this land. It's almost like he designed it perfectly for us to succeed. Put this giant river in the middle, gave us the oceans. So yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Rye. I know you hate. We probably shouldn't go into religion, but
Religion.
this is the
I mean,
promised land.
so Tom, I think you set it up, and I almost wonder if you're like you're you're headed in this path. Up until World War I and World War II, European countries were the dominant countries on the planet, right? Now we were getting there,
We were
right?
a
And
power.
for a
Yeah.
variety of reasons, we were on the rise. But what happened during those two wars in Europe, right? They devastated those countries. Those countries were utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
And how many attacks were there on the US during either of those wars?
One.
One. Pearl Harbor,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
There was one attack on US soil during
Yes.
any of those wars. We didn't have to rebuild anything. There was no rebuilding whatsoever. So those wars basically lit a fire under our economy for production because we were producing for the wars. And then while all those countries are rebuilding their infrastructure, we're just manufacturing left and right and just exploding around the world.
Hmm. Sure.
So I think that helps explain the US is a superpower. Now, obviously, I think it started earlier, and I don't know if
Right.
you guys have read Guns, Germs, and Steel, but it's a
Hmm.
brilliant book to
I
help
have.
us understand which countries, one, if we're thinking about it in terms of a competition, and it really has nothing to do. Like he makes this point, right? The whole point of the book is that there aren't people who are biologically superior. There isn't a superior culture, right? Some
Right.
countries got geographically lucky. That's the whole point of the book is just geography wins out. And he's a biologist, also a geographer, but he's a
I
biologist making this
completely
argument, right?
disagree.
Well,
Have you read Guns, Germs, and Still?
I
No,
have.
doesn't
Oh,
matter.
Josh, you need to read it.
Well, here's the thing. All it does is support Josh's theory that
Oh,
America is a promised land. Because it's just basically saying it's got amazing things like giant cows that are so easy to tend and they're full of meat, right? And as opposed to like little teeny livestock. And he makes all these points that you're like, yeah, sounds like a pretty great
well,
place.
but
If someone
it
had to be
wasn't,
was
right?
led there, they'd almost like for sure succeed.
Well,
But
Okay, let's complicate this a little bit because I get the point you're making, but Russia has a lot of resources. Like Saudi Arabia has vast fields of oil and they got
yeah,
lots
but
of
they have
money.
no arable land. They have
Okay,
no arable
doesn't make
land.
them
They desertified.
exceptionable. Okay, whatever. Um,
He talks about it in the book. I mean, the book makes it very
yeah.
clear why that
okay,
happened, right?
cool,
The
cool.
desertification of the Middle East
Let's
is what destroyed the Middle
let's
East's
comp
power.
let's complicate this. What about our governmental system? Like, are you going to tell me that if there's a country that has the same geography and resources as America, but they're a communist country, we're going to just be neck and neck, and it's just all
You
about the
mean
geography?
China?
Okay, sure, China. Do you want to live in China?
Why do you keep jumping to that as though like that is the solution? Everybody just wants to move to China because their economy's great. No, I don't want to move to
What
China.
what has historically happened in communist countries, right?
Okay, they're really, I mean, it's awkward. They're now an authoritarian dictatorship that's a capitalist country. They're not even
Sure.
Mhm.
communist anymore. Their
Okay,
economy
they're
is not a communist economy
okay.
at all
Okay,
anymore.
but they're quasi
Yeah.
there. The government has a crazy power and they can just
Yes.
kill you at the whim. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
What
I will agree with that.
historically, what has happened to authoritarian governments? What has happened to socialist governments? What has happened to communist governments? They end up slaughtering their people. This is
Mhm.
history. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't just say it's just geography. That's the point I'm making. Sure, geography is great. Promised land. Great. I like being here. You can't say that's the only problem. Okay. The American government, the American project, yeah, it's had some big warts and flaws and it hasn't always been great, but you can't count the number of citizens that have been murdered by our own government in the tens of millions or the hundreds of millions like you can with, say, Russia. Okay. Some of these countries have killed their own people to the tunes of tens of millions of people.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. That's true.
So you can't say it's just a geography thing when you have Pol Pot over there slaughtering what did he a tenth of his own population or however
It's
many.
like 7 million Pol
Yeah, it's
Pot.
Who's
crazy.
Pol
Stalin
Pot?
was more like 60 million. Pol Pot was
Cambodia. Is that where he's
Cambodia.
from?
Yeah.
Oh.
Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Just killed a whole bunch of his own people, right? So you can't just chalk it up to geography. Sure, that helps. I totally get it. Totally agree. But
Well,
why isn't
no.
Canada like Canada's
So
north?
I
America's top
you're
hat.
missing the point. So the argument that Jared Diamond makes in Guns, Germs, and Steel is not that geography is ultimately destiny. It's that geography starts it. Okay. So the reason some countries start out with an advantage is because of geography. Okay. That I think is his big point. So, and it's not just geography, it's natural resources. The countries that get domesticable animals first, that's just luck of the draw, just sheer luck of the draw. But domesticable crops, that's tied to geography and it's tied to latitude and longitude. It's tied to a number of things. And then it becomes an issue
Sure.
of geography of where those crops will grow. The Middle East is where a lot of this started, and then it turned into a desert. It did not have the climate to maintain it, and a lot of that moved to Europe. None of it really happened in the United States, right? The Americas had one domesticable mammal, big mammal. Which one was it? Do we know?
Cow?
No,
Bison.
llamas. We had llamas. That's it.
Oh.
You can't domesticate bison, right? Cows actually come from the Middle East. So we imported all of those. We imported
Mm.
horses, we imported cows, we imported all of those things. The one domesticable mammal that we had in the Americas was the llama or alpaca. That's it. And you can't ride it. It's not big enough to ride. You can barely carry stuff with it. It's not a particularly useful one. You can't put a cart behind it. You can't carry things. He shows in there, but we've known this for a long time. Native
Get to
Americans
where you're
had
going. I don't care about alpacas. What's your point?
the point is geography starts it. Okay. But then certain countries are the recipients of this technology, and geography allows them to continue to exploit it. So,
Mm.
as the Europeans during the European expansion, as they go around the world and conquer most of the world, this is what they did. They took those
Sure.
technological advantages, they go around the world, they conquer a whole bunch of countries. Some of those countries, they only exploit. They do not settle. They do not bring their technology. They do not share their technology. They only exploit those countries.
Hmm.
Think of Colombia, right? Think of Venezuela. They
Sure.
went in and literally built silver mines out of the bones of the dead slaves, and they used those bones to maintain the silver mines, right? But they did something different in America. They did something different in New Zealand. They did something different in Australia. They went and they settled and they took their technology. That's why those countries do as well as they do, is because they take their technology and their culture. I'm not writing out culture. I think culture matters, but they bring their technology and their culture and they settle instead of just exploiting and extracting resources. And
Mm.
that's the argument that ultimately Jared Diamond makes. So he's not writing out culture. He's saying culture matters. It's a key part of this, but there are certain countries that got the advantages first, and those countries are the countries that eventually. There's a reason we're speaking English right now, right? Why are we speaking
Right.
English right now instead of Mandarin, right? Instead
Yeah.
of Spanish?
Swahili.
Yeah, there's a very specific reason for that, and that's because the European Empire, the British Empire, is who ultimately came over and settled here. Okay,
Hmm.
they're not speaking English in Venezuela right now.
Hmm.
They didn't settle there. They went in and they extracted resources. That's all they did. Take the resources, take the resources, take the resources. So that's the argument that Jared Diamond is making. It's geography starts it, geography helps it maintain it, but it's actually the cultural expansion and the settlement that actually is what leads to the dominance that we have today of these Western powers. That's his argument. And I don't think he's wrong. I think he hit it. This is why it's a New York Times bestselling book. It's pretty well defended, right? Like no one's really challenging his argument about why certain countries are dominant and others are not. It's pretty solid. And that
But
book was published 30 years ago.
is
Mm,
that also making the argument that a culture, one culture is better than another?
No, he would say it because he doesn't want to make the argument that just because like I'm American that somehow I'm superior culturally. And Josh started this point, right, by saying my moral worth is not better than somebody else. Clearly,
Right.
Jared Diamond agrees with that, right? But
Right.
he would say,
So,
look, if I took either of you right now and dropped you into the back country of New Guinea,
right.
how long are you going to survive?
Not very long.
No, you guys are dead. You're
Right.
toast. But
Right.
the people who live there have a culture that is adapted to the back country of New Guinea. It's
Yeah.
not that they're stupid and it's not that they have a bad culture. It's that their culture fits their context. He's making that argument, right? So he's not saying there are superior cultures and inferior cultures. He's just saying there are cultures that have led to certain developments and other cultures that have not. And those are all tied to geography. They're tied to settlement. They're tied to colonialism. They're tied to a whole bunch of things. So it's not that just like American culture is superior and that's why we kick everybody else's ass, right? Jared Diamond is throwing the the water on that fire is just like, no, y'all got
Right.
lucky. Geographically, you
Well,
got lucky.
that's
There was colonialism that happened
that's
here
silly.
and they settled.
yeah, I here's the thing. I got a couple points. So like one, a couple things don't make sense here because So like I was using Russia as an extreme, and you're like, well, that's an extreme example, and it is an extreme example, but
Yeah.
like there are gradients of that, and the great
Mhm.
one is what you brought up, which is South America. And I've read a couple documentaries like why is South America so poor? Why do they struggle so much? And it talked about how it's exactly what you were saying, that there was
Exploited.
exploiters would come in and they would
Yep.
exploit the land, and that they've always kind of known this dictator relationship with like the government and
Mhm.
like whoever there is ruling over them, and they've had a trouble getting out of that cycle, right?
Yeah.
And they were giving examples of different countries, and they just like overthrow one to get another one to get another one, and uh but to me that's the perfect example of like they're in America. America has all these great resources, got the two oceans, everything like that, but North America has done exceedingly well. It's ushered in 80 years of peace, relative peace across the globe, and unprecedented prosperity. But South America still struggled to even like create a cultural dent on the rest of outside of their continent. And like to me, that's like, well, yeah, because the culture was different, and like America had
Right,
this
but
culture.
why was it different, right?
But
And
I
I'm not disagreeing with
and
you.
I'm but I'm and the point
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it different? Doesn't matter. It was better. Like that's my point. Like it
Well,
was
but they
better.
went in and they extracted resources and they set up a dictator and kind of subservient culture from the
Hmm.
beginning. And that
Hmm.
culture has maintained. And this is
Hmm.
the same argument
We
that I was
did the
making
same
with
thing in
Russia.
America. We had a king that we had to overthrow. So it was still a subservient thing here. It was all taxation without representation. We overthrew the king, so it was a different mindset. Um,
I don't think you're seeing
Ryan,
it
you're saying the
exactly the same
difference
way.
is they like these European colonizers came and they settled here, right? We lived here,
In the
as opposed to
Americas,
like
in the
I'm just going to
US,
temporarily set
yes.
up shop and create a mine and ship everything away.
Bingo. I'm gonna
Yeah,
I'm gonna set up a governor of a colony who's
yeah,
gonna go in and enslave everybody,
right,
extract all the resources, and then when we're done extracting resources, we're out of there. We're
yeah.
done. We don't
And
we
that
don't
makes
care to
sense,
stay, right?
right?
Whereas
sure.
in the US, it's like actually we're gonna stay. And the people who came here, why did they come here? This is a point that we leave out all the time. We're like, oh, it's the Puritans. It was for religious freedom. Bullshit. The Mayflower was actually filled with people who were looking for economic opportunity. They were trying to get out under the thumb of the government already in Europe, right? That's
Mhm.
literally why people came here was looking for economic opportunity and they stayed. They brought all their technology with them, and it's not like they said, "No, no, we don't get to take the technology." They literally took the technology. In all of these colonial environments, right? They went in and said, "No, you don't get any of the technology. Here's a shovel, here's a pick, here's a hoe. Get in that mine and you're going to extract those resources."
Right.
That's not what we did in the United States of
Like
America.
a
It's
great
a
way would
very
be the
different
difference
system.
is a European came to Argentina and shipped everything away.
Yes.
Whereas in North America, a European came over with his family and kids, and the
Yes.
kids Ray got raised on the land and grew up on the land, and like whereas the kids
Exactly.
stayed back in Europe with the South American example, they'd stay, and he's just like, I'll just ship everything back, and I'll come visit twice a year or
Yes.
whatever.
That's
Uh,
the difference. That's the
I
difference.
agree. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's the
I
difference.
I don't disagree with that either, but like your backwoods Cambodian example or whatever you said, like where we wouldn't survive there, you're
New Guinea.
yeah,
But yeah.
whatever it was, or it applies to Russia too. So if a Russian was here in this conversation and he might say, my culture is superior to yours. We like having strong leadership. We like
Mhm.
having the government take care of us.
They might.
So that's part of my problem with your whole argument here is you're trying to compare apples to oranges and you're trying to say and there's a term for it that I'm blanking on, but it's subjective. Like, uh, how do you prove that one culture is better than another when you have
Well,
that backwoods New Guinea farmer saying,
sure.
"I like living in this rainforest with no technology. I don't want to be in that big city with you Americans." Right? Do you see what I'm saying? That's the
Uh,
problem with the argument that Diamond's
yes.
making.
Well, kind of, right? I don't think that he's necessarily saying they like it. I'm saying that they are culturally suited to the environment. They can go out into those woods and they can find food. They know how to survive because that's their culture, right? It's not that, like, biologically, if we took infant Tom
Sure, I
and
get
had him
that.
adopted
I get
there,
that.
he would be raised with that culture, right?
Mhm.
Same with we take a baby from New Guinea and raise them in bountiful Utah,
Would-
right? Like
Yeah.
the baby will have the culture. It's not biology, it's culture. They're culturally adjusted for their environment,
Yes,
and
I
it
get
has
it.
nothing to do with biology. And that's, I think, the major point that Jared Diamond is trying to make is that we're not biologically superior, and that's why we're
That
succeeding,
was the thing
right?
I said right at the very
I know,
beginning that
I
took
know.
2 seconds.
Well, not really. You said moral worth, but we're just arguing biology
Right.
there.
Same thing.
Yeah. I think you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so what's your big point, Josh? You're saying that it's subjective, and I'm saying, no, I don't think Jared Diamond would say that subjectively New Guinea's just as good as the United States in terms of their economic superpower nature. I don't think he's saying that. I think what he's trying to do is take Americans off their high horse as thinking that somehow we're superior as humans. He's just knocking us down and saying, no, you're not. There's nothing superior about the United States as people, right? We're just
Hmm.
Which is what
people.
I said at the beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
yeah.
literally what I said. So why
That,
are you trying to ram that down my throat?
no, 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 I'm not. But you're trying to get at some subjective thing of like as though Jared Diamond saying no, somehow they think they're better. And I don't think he's saying that. I think he's just literally saying Americans aren't better. Stop thinking that you're better because we're
This is
going around saying we're
interesting.
American exceptionalist. No, we're
Nobody
not.
said that.
This is interesting because I think you're
Culture's better.
actually right. No, I agree. Like we're not there, Americans aren't superior, but there is something special. Like there's a cultural aspect and kind of an ingrained individuality that's been raised within us that just helps us be optimistic. This is where like what caused the Russians to fail and what caused Americans to succeed. And there's a
Yeah.
difference. And I think you could, you know, in what's the
Encapsulate
word?
that in culture.
To what?
Encapsulate that in culture.
Yeah, culture, but what you would call it American exceptionalism. There's
Yeah.
something there, and because
I
I don't
agree.
think it's all just random luck, like
Okay.
because.
So
But I agree, we're not
yeah,
superior. We're not
we're not
superior,
superior.
but yeah.
So I want to push a little bit on the individualism thing. And I'm going to draw at some level on your experiences, Tom, in Japan, right?
Mm,
So in the US, we are hyper individualistic. We put a
yes,
lot of priority on the individual.
correct.
That's not how they operate in Japan, at least when I was there, and historically, that's the way that it's been, that you have a
Correct.
lot of allegiance to family, to society. Um,
Yes.
Crime rates are actually really, really low in Japan because you're actually bringing disgrace and dishonor on the family and the society as a result. And that actually
Yes.
factors into what they're doing. So
Yes.
I get what you're saying about like individualism. And I think individualism, I mean, this is very Ayn Randian, right? Like the individual is precedent, the individual is superior, the individual gets all the priority. But what does that actually do for society? So I'm pushing back a little bit because
Everything.
no, no,
Like
what
it
it
does everything
does,
for
what
society.
Josh, just hold for a second, right? What it
Well, you asked a
does,
question.
I know.
You can't
Can
ask a
I?
question and go, "Zzz."
I wasn't quite done with
Come
my
on.
question, right?
Well, you paused. You really did
I did
pause.
pause. I
What
did
does that do for
pause.
society? Zzz. Rick.
That was a dramatic pause. I'm allowed to do
Oh my
dramatic pauses.
gosh.
Yes, thank you, Tom. I need my skull, right? Um, it breaks down the social network of society because now what allegiance
No,
do I have to anybody else?
that's insane. And
Tom,
that's
what
not what
does
the
Japan look
primacy of the
like?
individual looks like. That's not what
That
it
is
is.
exactly what it looks like.
No.
I matter,
You're talking about
nobody else matters.
individualism.
Yep,
Oh my
that's what it is.
gosh.
That's literally what
No,
individualism is. I
individual.
matter, nobody else does.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
That is
Primacy of
literally
the
individualism.
No,
That is
it's
the
not.
definition of
Okay,
it.
you brought up individualism. I said primacy of the individual. All that
Okay.
means is there's not a monarch that has more rights than me. Okay, individualism is not primacy of the individual. You're conflating the two terms. Let's be clear.
mm,
Fine.
Did you
So
say
tell
that
me
like
how
it doesn't matter?
individualism, yeah, tell me how individualism is somehow beneficial for society. And I
You
get that
brought
it's
up the word
beneficial for the
individualism,
individual.
not me. You
Okay.
tell me. You're the one that brought it up.
I'm saying it's probably not, but I'm also recognizing that this is complicated. So
well,
I think individualism is a powerful motivator for things like capitalism and for people to
yes.
pursue
Yes.
wealth. I think
Right.
that's absolutely true. But are there detriments that come with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that it prioritizes me over everybody else. I'm going
Right.
to get what I want. This is what I say all the time about driving in Florida, right? So your example of this person flying through an intersection, that's called Tuesday in Florida. Nobody here cares about the laws. They care about me getting where I want to go when I want to go. I say this all the time in my YouTube videos about Florida drivers. You never want to have an ambulance ride in Florida because no one's going to get out of the way. No, I've
Really?
filmed this so many times on my dash cams in my
Hmm.
Tesla that I'll see an ambulance coming up behind me.
Yes.
What is the law when it
Right.
comes to
Pull
emergency
over.
vehicles, right?
Yeah.
You have to pull over, you give them 500 feet of clearance. It's
Mm.
literally 500 feet. In Florida, it's more like 5 feet. That's basically how they operate. That, oh, it's literally right behind. Okay, maybe I'll pull over now. And then as soon as you pull over and it passes you, they ride their bumper because they're like, everybody's going to get out of my way now. This is awesome. I love
Right.
this. And I've
Right.
got video after video of showing this shit. And I'm like, this is hyper individualism. The
Yeah.
only
Yes.
thing that matters is me. I
Right.
matter. I don't care about the laws. I don't care about anybody else. I have people passing me in turn lanes all the time here. They drive over curbs and sidewalks. They don't care about anybody. It's
Right.
just me. And
Well,
that, I think, is a serious problem. So
yes.
there are trade offs, right? Do we
Yes.
want individualism? Yeah, it motivates people. I think that's nice. Do we want exclusive individualism where only thing that matters is just you? I think that's a
Well,
shitty society that
What a
sucks.
bizarre
selfishness, right?
argument.
Yeah. I well, okay, a couple things. Um, and then we better wrap up. But like
So I gotta respond to that because that was insane what just happened.
you go, Josh. You go.
Well, okay, Ryan brought up the term individualism, and then he proceeded to lambaste it as if I was defending it or something.
Right.
Like, uh, is that how we're doing this now? I get to like that was
Sure.
crazy. That was
Set up the
absolutely
straw
insane.
man and then
That's
attack
what
that
that
straw
was.
man.
That was a straw man of
You
gargantuan in proportions.
Okay, I get
Okay,
this, but you're using this individual thing in one very specific way, and it's just a legal way. And that's fine if that's all you mean by it, that you're like primacy of the individual, nobody has any more rights than anybody else.
that's
We
exactly
all
what it
we all know
means.
that's actually not true in the United States. If you have enough money, the laws don't apply to you. And
Okay,
that's
but that's
coming
not a
from our
good thing.
brother Danny, who straight up
Okay,
admits that,
agreed.
right?
That's not a
Yes.
good thing. That's contra the law, and nobody likes that. Okay, so your individualism thing, I'll actually address it directly, even though I didn't bring it up and never said that it was such a great thing. I don't think it is a great thing. Okay, part of our system is capitalism, and it puts checks and balances on individualism. Yes, an individual selfish person is going to want to succeed and take what they can get. Guess what capitalism does? It puts them in a system where they have to engage in transactions that are beneficial to both parties. Yes, there are exceptions where people can kind of exploit other people, but for the most part, that is the beauty of capitalism. You have to engage in mutually beneficial transactions. I'll give you my hours, you give me that money. I'll give you this money, you give me that good. That's capitalism. It puts checks and balances on that insane hyper individualism that you're describing, which I never even ascribed to. I don't even know why I'm defending it. But guess what? Our system is so great and so exceptional that it actually helps put in check this insane individualism that you're talking about. And guess what? We're also a country devoted to God and society, and that's that was part of our founding. Guess what I do with my devotion to God? I have a whole freaking ward. I have a society. I have a group of people that I interact with constantly, and I'm trying to help them out. When my house burned down, they all showed up and tried to help me. We're trying to create society. There's nothing about my ethos or my culture that's saying, yeah, it's all about the individual. Just go get yours, buddy. I don't even know what you're freaking talking about, bro.
Move to Florida.
The
Okay, good argument. What the crap?
J
Yeah,
Japan is an interesting place, right? The totally, yeah, there it's all about conformity and uh,
Communalism. That's the term that they use. It's a
what is it?
communal society
Communal,
where they
yeah.
care about the community and the
Yeah.
community gets priority over the individual.
It's yeah, I'm always shocked at like how willing they are to wear uniforms,
Yep.
right? Like they seem excited about it, all like in their matching like the auto shop, and they're all like, woohoo, we're all like look like each other. And you're
They
like,
do
wow, that's weird.
exercises together in the morning as part of
Yeah,
the team building. Yep.
totally. And the crime, like Ryan's right, the crime is super low and it's so
it's
safe. Like
great.
it's the one of the few places I'd let my daughter like run around the park in the middle of the night in the
Sure.
city, and
Yep.
I'd feel
Super
probably
safe.
pretty good about it. Um, but like this is also the society that put people in planes and said, "Hey, I need you to fly that into the ground, and you're gonna
For
die, but like
for
it's
Japan.
all part of the cause."
Yes, that is for Mother Japan. You are going to do this
Yes,
for
from
the
out of
empire,
Japan.
Al-
right?
Also, so the society that perpetrated the most horrific crimes on the Chinese, like stuff that you
Yeah,
can't
Yeah,
even read about without losing your soul.
sure.
But
No, no,
okay,
no. I get
I,
that, right? But and I get your point, Josh,
It-
that you're saying my religion helps balance this out. Okay. That's
right,
beautiful. That's wonderful. I'm not even going to complain about that. And you know where I fall on religion stuff, right? That's perfectly fine. You are finding a community in an individualistic society. That's different in Japan, right? In Japan, it is a communalistic society where you have to find your individualism. So it's a little bit different. And I would say we really need a happy balance between the two. We don't want a hyper individualistic society where everybody's just out for themselves, but we
right.
probably don't also
nobody
want a
made that
society.
argument.
But I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm not setting you up as the straw man. Would you stop
Yeah.
taking that as though I'm doing
Mm,
that? I'm railing
And
against
Ryan,
individualism in general.
right,
Okay,
and
I
that's
don't see it
the
as a big issue.
that's the point I was
Okay.
trying to make is like the communalism is a double-edged sword, right? So it's
Yes.
like there's some pros, but there's also some cons,
Yep.
and so yeah, like and I guess you'd say so is individualism, right? Like there's some
Hmm.
pros and there's some cons, right?
Yep.
The fun thing, the thing I always thought was so interesting, and always when during election season there would be these little like VW bug buses or like that they and these people would get in it and they would have these megaphone on top of the car and they'd all be out the window and they have white gloves and they'd all be waving and they'd have mics. One person would have a mic and they'd be like, "Oh, and it'd be Japanese, right? And they'd be like, "Oh, vote for us on the good old day and we're the best thing and this guy da, 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 da." And they do this at 6:30 in the morning in the city and just blast everybody. And I remember thinking the first time I was like, what on earth is going on? And I like finally figured out like what they were doing. And I'm like, those people would be shot dead in America. Like this would not
The
be
best part of that's
okay.
not even an exaggeration. Like somebody would
No.
totally shoot them.
So I mean, at the very least, bricks thrown at their car and like their car destroyed. And I'm like, how is everyone okay with this? And like it was just like it
Sure.
was that was a big cultural shock thing, right? Like wow, everyone agreed that they can do this and we're all gonna let them do it. And like, okay, it blew my mind. And
That's
and
funny.
but like yeah, you know what I mean, it's like Americans care about themselves and like do they get are they at the point where they're caring too much and are we becoming selfish and is it just eroding our society? I completely
Yeah,
agree. And I
100%.
actually would even go further in that I think American exceptionalism is coming to an end because we are too focused on ourselves. We're too selfish. We become too greedy.
Yep.
And but I actually believe it did exist and has existed, and but it's a fading kind of a fading light
Yeah.
is
So
my take on
exactly what God warned about in the scriptures. Be humble, or I'm going to remove the promised land from you. Yeah.
it.
I thought we were going to bring
Right.
religion up in this podcast. Oh my gosh, Josh. This is like number 10 today. Jeez. Jeez.
E-
Well,
Religion's
any
that
final
important.
thoughts,
Like,
anybody?
sorry, that's the Oculus I view the world through.
I know.
That was
Yes.
interesting discussion. That was fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting.
Final thoughts, Ryan? Final thoughts, Josh?
Hmm.
It,
Um,
it's
You might have
in
just
my
given them,
mind.
Josh.
It's
But
oh, it's in my mind. It's hard to deny American exceptionalism. Everybody wants to like when I lived in Europe, people kind of hated me, and like the Europeans were so snobbish, and it wasn't just the Spaniards. I met a lot of Europeans when I was there. They hated me because it's trite. They wanted to be me. Like you could tell they were
mm,
jealous of America, and so they had
right,
like this snobbery to them. We're like, oh, you're just an American. Then they'd ask about the latest movies or whatever, right? Um,
right.
it was a really weird thing.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I don't like the individualism. I don't like the influencers and stuff that it's all about them. And yeah, that's a terrible thing. That's called pride, right?
There's an ugly side to it. Yeah.
There's an absolutely ugly side, but I don't think that's America. Like primacy of the individual means that there's not a king that can show up and just take my land. Like they can still do that in England. Technically, the king can go and take whatever he wants. Technically, right?
Well, technically, our government can too. It's called eminent domain. So
they have to prove that they need it for the good of
Final
the
thoughts.
country.
These are final thoughts, guys.
You're right. I'm
No, sorry. I
no.
shouldn't be
No,
debating
finish,
it.
Josh. Finish.
we can't help it. America's exceptional. Like I don't know how you can't see it. Like it's just obvious to me. Just obvious.
Yeah. I think it's more nuanced, not surprisingly. I think the US was not particularly exceptional. Has been has
Everybody froze.
Oh. Josh, we can still hear you. Tom, I can still see you. Yeah. I think Josh just froze his screen to screw up my closing monologue. That's what this is. He's just throwing me off.
Trolling.
Maybe he'll come
Silent
back in. We'll
protest.
see. Yeah, just froze. I'm gonna keep going, and we'll see if he jumps back in. But obviously, we weren't always the world superpower, and I think I actually kind of agree with you, Tom, on this point that I don't know that we will be for much longer.
Well, yeah, you're going to agree with that.
Yeah, well, I think there are problems.
Yes.
And as far as the US being exceptional when it comes to culture, meh. I actually don't disagree with Josh that many Europeans have a love-hate relationship with the US.
I agree too.
They hate us for so many reasons, but then they turn around, they're like, damn, they have it nice, and there are some cool
American
things
football.
about the US. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but there are some things that they really, really do value and they love. But there are other things that are just like, how do you put up with this?
Inches and feet. What did you guys? What are you thinking?
I'm on the European side with that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We need to switch to the metric system.
But they make fun of us for how much money we spend on military, and then they get in another freaking war and like, America, come save us.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, but I think it's complicated. I don't think that the US is particularly exceptional. There are plenty of other countries around the world where people would love to move there as well. I think if their borders were as open as ours aren't really right now, there would be a lot of people who wanted to move to Norway and to Denmark and to Sweden and Switzerland and Finland, right? They've just cracked down on immigration, and now we're cracking down on immigration. Yeah, there are people who see the America and think of the American dream. Turns out it's not really much of a dream; it's more of a myth. But they see it and they want to believe it, and yeah, it's appealing. But there are plenty of other places.
You don't think it was a dream? I mean, it's much harder to achieve now.
Post World War II, I think it was a dream. Today,
I think it was a dream.
No arguing.
Until fairly
final
recently.
thoughts.
Thank you, Tom.
Sorry.
Tom, final thoughts.
You can't.
Your turn.
Can't help it with you.
No, we can't.
I already shared mine. I'm good.
All right. I need to go to bed. It's way late here.
You too. Stop it. Stop hitting me.
Let's argue about that. It's not that late, Ryan. It's not that late.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Good discussion.
Yeah. See you next time.
No, we won't.
Josh, we may not always agree when it comes to politics, even though we're trying, but there is one thing we agree on. There is only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
I've been a proud owner of a Lux bidet for years. I have literally owned a Lux Neo 320 since 2013. That's the warm water model. Talk about happy, fun, poopy time. When I leave the bathroom, I know I'm clean and ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Exactly. Using a toilet without a bidet is about as uncivilized as it gets. Civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
And that is why our listeners should get themselves a Lux bidet.
And just to be clear, Lux is not supporting one side or the other in this podcast. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
Lux is supporting this podcast, but they don't support one side or the other. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.